Hello, I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and this is Graded for Friday Night SmackDown, where I take a look at the show segment by segment and award each little bit a grade from A+ to F. Now, this week's show has a cold open for Howard Finkel, who unfortunately passed away the other day. Howard Finkel is the voice of a lot of our childhoods. He is WWE's longest tenured employee. He was the guy who you would just want to hear. Whenever you were daydreaming as a child, you'd want to hear him announce you as the WWE champion. I will mention it now as well. There is a beautifully edited video package highlighting some of Fink's biggest moments that's in this episode, but I just thought it was important to talk about it off the bat. The loss of Howard Finkel is a huge loss for the wrestling community and the wider wrestling family as a whole. Rest in peace, Howard Finkel. So we kick things off with a moment of bliss, and this week's guest is Braun Strowman. Alexa congratulates Braun on his big win at Mania. He congratulates her and Nikki on their tag title victory. They ask him about Bray, and he's like, you know what, nobody knows Bray Wyatt like I know him. I don't owe him anything. I know that he's a manipulator. I know that, he's trying to play mind games. I got, myself to be a star because of my own hard work. However, Braun then notices a present. It's wrapped up behind Alexa. It's like in pink sparkly wrapping paper, and he's like, Alexa, you really shouldn't have. And, mentions the fact that they used to tag together on Mixed Match Challenge and all of that stuff. And he's like, oh, come on, you shouldn't have got me a gift. She's like, I didn't get you a gift. And he opens it, and it's his black sheep mask. Bray's maniacal laughter's then pumped in, and we see sort of like a supercut, the old Wyatt, blah, 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 blah things, except it's all like little clips of Braun. I'm going to give this a B+. As much as I've said from day one about The Fiend that he shouldn't really be coveting the title, well, there's not really a lot we can do about it now. He lost the belt to Goldberg, and given everything that's sort of come out around that situation, this suggests that Bray's going to get the belt pretty quickly back off Braun, but I guess time will tell. Overall, though, I'm here for the mind games and insanity. That's just a given. It's going to be amazing. Next up, we have Sasha Banks versus Tamina. Bayley comes out with Banks. She sits on commentary, and remember, this is a number one contenders match. If Tamina can beat Sasha Banks, then Tamina gets a one-on-one shot with Bayley for the title. Bayley throwing her friend under the bus last week when Tamina came knocking. So Sasha starts off by throwing one of her Sasha Banks t-shirts at Tamina. It's a small, and Tamina's like, what are you giving me this for? I wear an XL. She throws it out to Bayley, and Bayley's like mouthing off at her. And then Tamina just starts laying into Banks. Banks is trying to use her natural, smaller size against Tamina. She's sort of trying to be wily and fast and moving in and around her at speeds that Tamina can't quite catch, but it doesn't last for very long. When we come back from the break, it's just much of the same, if I'm being honest, until Banks is able to sort of find her feet, she lays in a few strikes, and then she starts trying to take Tamina to the mat. There's a long sleeper with Tamina managing to power her way back up to her feet and dumping Sasha to the floor, and then when Tamina goes outside to collect Sasha, Bayley interjects. She's trying to distract her, and it works. Sasha sends her into the ring post, and then into the ring steps. Just as Bayley's looming large over Tamina like she's about to do something, Lacey Evans' music hits, she comes down, makes the save, fights off Bayley, and then Tamina's able to go into the ring, super kick, 1, 2, 3. Tamina is number one contender. Tamina's going to be facing Bayley for the title. I'm going to give this one a C+. I think it makes the most sense to give Tamina the win here because Bayley it started with very, very small things, but now it's getting larger and larger. Every time some sort of roadblock comes up, she throws Sasha into it first. Sasha's always the one that's suffering for this friendship. It's definitely not a two-way street. It's nice to see Tamina getting some airtime, but I'm sort of worried about the longevity of her push here. I'd like her to go and just take the belt off Bayley. It would be mental, so I guess let's see what's coming next. And I guess my last thoughts on it are that the match was fine, it just kind of descended into an angle the more and more it went on. We then go backstage to Lacey, who's being chased down by a reporter. She says that Sasha got a taste of her own medicine tonight, and she says she's not going to stop until her mission is complete. And then she pulls her hand up, and she reveals that on her hand there's the word Sasha with, the no smoking signs with the big red cross, through it. So yeah, she's got that. The reason I didn't show you my fingers there is because I'm currently self-isolating with my girlfriend, and apparently when you're self-isolating with your girlfriend and she gets bored, this is what happens. I've now got sparkly black nails. I don't know how to get it off. Someone send help. Next up, we have Sheamus against Denzel Dejournette, who's already in the ring waiting for him. This is going to be another quick Sheamus victory. So Big Dens gets a cheeky roll up to start, and it's just pretty clean, pretty tight roll up. Sheamus snaps. He's like, all right, big man, and then just starts laying in strikes, like uncomfortably laying in strikes. Like Dejournette is like limp, and Sheamus is just pounding on him. Doesn't take long for him to then hit the bro kick and pick up the win. I'm going to give this one a C. It's really nice to see massive, huge, established lads full of muscles finally getting a chance in WWE, isn't it? Post-belt, Sheamus cuts a promo on Michael Cole for bringing up Jeff Hardy on commentary. He's very, very upset about this. We then go backstage, and Dana Brooke is with Carmella. She's sort of working out on her own first, and then Carmella comes over to her, and she's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you taking this match tonight against Naomi? Why are you trying to enter into Money in the Bank? You need to focus. We need these tag belts. What are you doing? And Dana's like, I can do both. Don't worry about me. And walks off, and Carmella's a bit like, oh well, don't tell me blah, 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 blah. Don't come crying at me, giving it that. And next up is that qualifying match, Naomi versus Dana Brooke. Whoever wins advances to the Money in the Bank ladder match. And Jesus Christ, this year is going to be mental. So, this year's Money in the Bank is being billed as climbing the corporate ladder. And that means that the match is going to... I don't know if both matches start at the same time. I don't know if the men and women start at the same time, or if it's going to be 2 whole rounds of this, or if this is just going to be the whole pay-per-view. But... the competitors of the match turn up to the ground floor, I guess, plaza of Titan Tower, and the ladders are on the roof, and above those ladders are the cases suspended several stories up. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's going to be absolutely mental. I'm really excited to see what this is even going to look like. I hope it's going to be full of just mental, proper, like, stupid Attitude Era office brawling, but fingers crossed. Back to the match though, both competitors start off fast and strong, just going for cheeky roll-ups. This continues until Naomi is dumped to the outside by Dana. Dana just seems to mouth off repeatedly to Naomi, just like, I'm going to win. I'm going to see that up there. That's mine. I'm going to win that. And Naomi's just quietly getting on with her work, trying to deconstruct Dana. There's a springboard kick from Naomi that gets a near fall. There's a powerbomb from Dana that gets a near fall. The pace on this one just doesn't let up. Dana kicks out of a rear view, and then in the corner, Naomi goes for like a split-legged springboard moonsault type thing. Dana moves out of the way, and then Dana's able to just roll her through for a cheeky win. Dana Brooke advances to the Money in the Bank ladder match, well, climbing the corporate brawl up the offices. Yeah. I'm going to give this one a B-. It was a great little sampler of a match. You got to see what both competitors were about. You got to see the aggression of both competitors. You got to see, like, them dial it up, but it just doesn't feel like they dialed it completely all the way. I'm also really, really shocked that Naomi didn't even qualify for Money in the Bank. I don't know what's going on. There's been such a buzz around her since she returned, and they just don't seem to want to capitalise on it. It makes no sense to me. Next up, it's Sonya Deville. Boo this woman. Boo her with all of your might. She says that she's been trying to get a hold of Mandy. Mandy won't answer. She's not had anybody in her life like Mandy before. She's really worried. She's really upset. She just wants to talk to her. Come out, Mandy, please. I just want to try and set the record straight. So Mandy comes out and she says, I have nothing to say to you. And Sonya's on the verge of tears, and she's like, Mandy, you are the most... And she's like bubbling up. She's like proper about to cry. She's like, Mandy, you were the most... And then her tone just changes and she's like, selfish person that I've ever met. Mandy is, of course, confused by this, and Sonya's like, you know what? You liking Otis, this whole thing has proved one thing to me, and that's that when you're done with somebody, you just cast them aside and you don't even care about their feelings. Sonya then says that she realises that Fire and Desire was even all about Mandy. They came out to Mandy's music, they had Mandy's soft lens thing, which blurred Sonya out completely. And she says, you know what, I nearly gagged, but you've probably been doing a lot of that yourself with Otis recently. Sonya then reveals that Dolph actually cares about Mandy and he was going to help them as a tag team. But now Sonya's seen all of this, all she wants to do is hurt her. She calls her talentless. She says, like, she basically runs her down as being like a stereotypical WWE Diva era bimbo hire type, like somebody that's hired for their looks and not their abilities. She runs her into the ground. As things are about to turn into a fight, Dolph comes out, he's like, whoa, gets in the middle of them, he's like, come on, none of this. Ziggler's like, you know what, Mandy, like, just calm down, we went about this all the wrong way, it was stupid, we shouldn't have done this, like, I should have just told you. I think Ziggler goes to, like, rest his hand on her shoulder to try and, like, comfort her, but obviously not reading the tone right. Mandy's like, don't touch me, and then out of nowhere, Sonya just sucker punches her. Otis's music hits after a moment of Ziggler being like, "What have you done?" And then out comes Otis to clean house. So Otis and Mandy clean house. Ziggler comes back for a little bit more, but is once again beaten down. And I'm going to give this an A. It's the best story WWE has right now, and I hope that they're not going to milk it dry, as I keep saying, but, you know, it's been alright so far. I just hope there's not going to be some massive grandiose twist where Mandy was in on it all along, and it's just very Russo-ish. I guess the next step for this one's probably a mixed tag match in the next couple of weeks. Next up, we have Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan in the first men's Money in the Bank qualifier, and both men just explode out of the gates. Like, Bryan sends Cesaro straight to the floor and then over the announce table. And then as Cesaro goes over the announce table, we cut back to the hacker, you know, the one that revealed the truth about Sonya and Dolph and that whole situation. He's like, "You've heard all of the lies, but now it's time to hear the truth." And then he turns back around and we go back to the match. And when we come back, Bryan is just working over the arms on Cesaro. He's really trying to just isolate and destroy his limbs. Whenever Cesaro is trying to break his stride and get free of Bryan, Bryan's just on him like a spider monkey. It takes him proper like deadlift power bombing him as Bryan's like wrapped around the arm to break that off. There's a great moment where Bryan comes in like crossbody style off the top rope. Cesaro catches him and just massive knee to the spine. There's a little bit more on the outside, then another break, and when we come back, Bryan is laying in the yes kicks onto Cesaro. And then we get to the end, which is Cesaro attempting desperately for a crossface. Bryan rolls through, goes for a yes lock. Cesaro blocks that. There's a little bit of a breakdown between them. Bryan eventually gets the yes lock back in. Cesaro is about to be saved by Nakamura. Gulak stops Nakamura. Cesaro taps. I'm going to give this one a B, a solid showing here from two living technical wrestling legends. Just beautiful. I feel like there could have been a little bit more from the drama perspective. We had those guys on the outside for the entire match. There wasn't really a lot that they were doing. There was just sort of like, you know, they got in and got involved at the end. I thought they could have maybe been a little bit more peppered in, but as we're about to find out in a little bit, things just seem to be rushed a little bit more tonight. It's like they were sort of running short of time. Next up, we're supposed to be having a special musical performance from Elias. He's backstage in his dressing room. He steps out of the dressing room and he's immediately attacked by Baron Corbin. So Corbin's just beating Elias down in the same room that Edge and Orton hung out in for like 9 hours on WrestleMania. He's just beating him down and then he drags Elias and his guitar out of frame. When we come back, they're still backstage. Corbin's like promising something good. He just beats Elias down with his scepter and then smashes his guitar over his prone body. And now we go to tonight's main event, which is a triple threat for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Obviously, one half of the team has already wrestled. This is the other half of the team that's wrestling, and it pits Jey Uso against Big E against The Miz. So throughout the night as well, I should probably say, we've had little backstage segments, like super quick ones, with each competitor saying that they're going to win and they're going to bring the tag titles home for their partner. But when we start things off, Big E is very much in power. So he starts off by just dominating. I think he drives Uso to the floor first and then Miz not long after him. He's straight out there. He's stripping the announce table bare, and it takes both guys quickly getting back to their feet and really working together, forming like a little sort of mishmash team to put Big E through the announce table. When we come back, Big E is still on the outside. Miz gets dumped to the outside. Uso hits stereo dives, like nails Big E as he's getting up and then nails Miz straight afterwards. But then we settle into a phase of all three getting to shine a little bit on the offense side. And then, as quickly as this match started, Miz goes for the skull-crushing finale, Uso kicks out of it, and then he goes for the figure four. Big E is still disposed of on the outside. Uso is trying to punch Miz's knees. He's doing everything he possibly can to not tap, and then Big E gets in, breaks it up, nails Miz with the big ending, and because Uso's like knackered and clutching his leg, can't do anything, Big E picks up the win. The New Day, new tag team champions. What? So I'm going to give this one a B-. It was oddly quick, as I said. It felt like sort of like breezing through the top 5 songs per artist on Spotify. You just sort of had a little moment with each of them where they got to shine and then straight to the finish. I'm really hoping that this still results in like a weird half and half tag thing, because technically only one half of the tag team has lost the belts, so we should technically have 2 teams as tag champions, and I think that could be an interesting dynamic moving forward. But for all intents and purposes, it right now looks like Big E just won the belts for New Day. New Day are now the champions. I don't know what's happening. But in terms of an overall grade for SmackDown this week, I'm going to give it a B-. We've got new tag champs, we've got our first competitors in the Money in the Bank side of things from SmackDown, we've had development further on the Otis, Mandy, Dolph and Sonya front. It's all been a pretty good week. It's not been like a standout week, but it's far from the worst week that we've had of the empty arena era. But that's been graded for this week's Friday Night SmackDown. Let me know what you thought of the episode, and let me know what your grades are in the comments below.